Hello guys, Dan here from Dan's Tech, and in today's video guys, I'm going to be bringing you the £900 gaming PC for mid-2016. Now this build is going to contain the i5 6600K as a Skylake processor. It's going to contain the Hyper 212 Evo CPU colour, and for the GPU an XFX RNAND 390X Double Dissipation Black Edition. This card is about £330 here in the UK, and yeah, with 2,816 cores, you're going to get some solid performance at 1080p, and might be able to push some games at 1440p if you guys say have 1440p monitors. So without further ado, let's kind of jump into the video, and yeah, let me guys show you what I've chose for the £900 gaming PC. To get started for the CPU, we're going to be grabbing the i5 6600K. This chip is a quad-core and runs at a frequency of 3.5 GHz with a turbo frequency of 3.9 GHz when power and temperatures permit. This CPU runs on socket LG1151, and with it being one of the new Skylake chips, is rated at a mere 91 watts TDP. This will be plenty fast for this build and should allow the RNAND 390X to spread its wings. As mentioned in the intro, at this price point it makes quite a bit of sense to use a decent cooler to cool the system, so we're going to be grabbing the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. This cooler really doesn't need an introduction as it's so popular. However, for you peeps that have never heard of it, it's a single tower cooler that sports a single 120mm fan, features many aluminium fins and 4 direct touch copper heat pipes. The best part about this cooler is that it's usually around £28 and performs very well for the price. Moving on to the motherboard, we're going to be grabbing the MSI Z170A PCMate ATX board. This full-sized ATX board comes in at a price of £90. This board packs support for the Skylake i5 6600K CPU mentioned, and has support for the higher-end i7-67K for future upgradability. This board supports up to 64GB of DDR4 RAM via the 4 DIMM sockets, and has support for many expansion options thanks to the 2 PCI Express x16 slots, 3 x 1 slots, and 2 PCI slots. This board does also support Crossfire. As for the ports, this motherboard has a total of 4 SATA 6GB ports, features 4 USB 2 ports as well as 6 USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, in addition to the 2 USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports. Moving on to the RAM, for this build I've opted to go with 2 4GB sticks of Kingston HyperX Fury memory. This memory is DDR4 and runs at a speed of 2400 MHz. This will work fine with the MSI motherboard chosen and is a good price, currently $28.99. As for the storage for the system, we'll be picking up both an SSD and a mechanical hard drive for storage of the games. First up for the SSD, we'll be grabbing a Samsung 250GB 850 Evo. This drive is rated at 540 MB per second read and 520 MB per second write, and to be honest, is a very good price for a high performance SSD. For £72, this is very good value for money, and will definitely make your PC boot up fast and feel incredibly snappy. Now as for the hard drive, we'll be grabbing a standard 1TB Seagate Barracuda hard drive. Main specs include 1TB capacity, 7200 RPM spin speed, and 64 MB of cache. Moving on to the graphic card for this build, I've opted to go with the AMD RNAND 390X. This dual fan XFX double dissipation variant of the card features 8GB of video RAM and 2,916 cores running at a frequency of 1060 MHz. As for the outputs, this card features a single DisplayPort and HDMI connector and 2 DVI ports, one being DVI-I and the other DVI-D. For £330, this is a pretty good damn deal and will be a very solid card for high detail 1080p gaming that could also push 1440p. This card does also feature a metal backplate to provide support against sagging once installed inside a case. Moving on to the case, I've chosen the Corsair 200R. This is a compact ATX case in black and does feature a windowed side panel. As for the features and the specs, first up for the fans, this does come with 220mm fans, one set up as an intake and the other as a rear exhaust, with support for many more. As for storage, this case sports room for 4 conventional 3.5-inch hard drives and 4 SSDs at the same time, thanks to the dedicated SSD and hard drive mounts, of which all are toolless. You also find room for 3 optical disk drives at the top. The front features 2 USB 3 ports in addition to the standard HDaudio connectors and power and reset buttons merged into one. As for component clearances, graphic card and power supply clearance is essentially unlimited, with the CPU cooler clearance being a pretty average 16.5cm, however enough for the Hyper 212 Evo CPU cooler to be installed. Currently the windowed and non-windowed variant of this case are both £55 on Amazon, so take your pick. Lastly, onto the power supply, we'll be grabbing the Corsair CX600M. This is a very popular series from Corsair and does deliver great efficiency thanks to its bronze certification and the installed 220mm fan. This semi-modular power supply comes with all the connectors needed for this build, including 4 4-pin peripheral connectors, 2 PCI Express connections, and 6 SATA connections. The total price for this build is £899.93. So guys, there we are, they're all the parts I chose for the £900 gaming PC. As always, I just want to say, this is what I would personally choose if I were selecting hardware for a £900 gaming PC. And if anything, I do promote you guys to say change components based on your needs, say a hard drive for SSD size, or say a cooler, or even a case. Cases are very personal, and if you want to change the case from the 200R, you can feel free. So guys, there we are. That's kind of the end of the video. If you guys are thinking of picking up any of these parts, or say all of them, you will find all the links in the description. You'll have Amazon US and UK links there. And yeah, without further ado, guys, thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.